Woohoo!
Welcome to On the Chain. This is Jeff here with co-host Chip. Tonight, XRP wealth creator, creating wealth in the crypto space, breaking down financial barriers for the masses. This is huge. A lot going on in the space. A lot of the legacy systems still fighting back, trying to withstand the ultimate outcome. Ready to kick this thing off, Chip?
Let's go.
Welcome to On the Chain.
And like always, go ahead and drop where you are from, the city, the country. Also, too, new feature that was added to our YouTube videos. If you're on the replay, we always have tremendous support from the OTC family when we do a live stream. They're called super chats, but there's also something that's been recently added that we've just become aware of called thanks.
Thank you.
It's called the thank you. And it's like, if you're on mobile, you got to scroll past 40 icons where the share button is. And if you're on your computer, you see it right there. It says thanks. And you can just, it's like a super chat for the non-live watchers. So anyway, always appreciated. And I thought I'd call that out. Jeff, we appreciate from Russia. All right, man. Listen, it's got to be late there. It's early morning there.
All the way from Russia.
Let's dive Let's dive straight in. Let's not mess around. So I wanted to put this up. This from Jimmy Filan over here. Let's start off with this one, Jeff.
All right.
It says Solomon. Now Solomon is the attorney. He says comes out swinging and opposing SEC's request to file a reply brief. The SEC requests leave to file what they term a reply, but this would be at least the SEC's sixth. Not the first, second, third, fourth, or fifth, but the sixth filing in opposition to the defendant's motion to compel.
Dude, this is what's wrong with them.
There's something wrong, and the funny part about it is just because you're the SEC, you don't think you're getting any special favors here with the judge. But they're like, we're the SEC. We'll ask 6 later, and then he goes on to say that
file a case and delay.
Yeah, it says the SEC now claims that the last year of briefing, oral arguments, the court's decisions, and all their motion for reconsideration were all academic exercise because it turns out, Jeff, the documents, every single one of them are actually privileged attorney-client communications.
Man, you get into that notion of attorney-client, privilege, and it's interesting. There's another big case that's going on right now. It might be deemed Russiagate at some point. And there's also some conversations going on about where does attorney-client privilege actually begin and where does it end? And so I think we're seeing it now very active in this case as well. And man, at some point, they're not there, trying to represent some sort of interest that they're discussing, with their attorney. This is stuff that was released.
Bizarre land, Jeff.
Very bizarre land. I don't understand how you can have emails and all this stuff going on that wasn't just between you and your attorneys, but you and a whole other part of the world out there.
Well, it's like stacking karma points, and there's like these negative karma points that they don't realize it, but it's like a swear jar. Everybody has a swear jar. It's like, hey, if you say a bad word, you got to throw $1 in there or $5. I actually worked at a company where they were so similar that if you mistook one for the other, that was $5 right into it was like, we called it a swear jar, but it was misappropriating the company. It was like, you would say this one when you meant this one. And here we go. Just out of the weirdness, they're just accumulating all these little beans in this giant jar, unbeknownst to them. But we're all aware of it, Jeff. And look at this here. This one just was a couple hours ago, but Jimmy Filan put this one out. He said, in a text-only order, Magistrate Judge Netburn has granted the SEC's request to file a reply brief in connection with the SEC's attorney-client privilege claims regarding the hymn and speech documents. The SEC's reply is due by May 18th. And I love this by Anders L. He says, 5 days, not too bad. Now I expect the SEC to request more time to respond. It's like
exactly what's their delay now? How much time do they want to delay? And Autoglass is bringing up, an interesting, point here. How is this not a failure to comply with a court order by now. Complete clown world.
Yeah,
Crazy.
clown world is one nice way to say it. It is clown world in a very specific way. It's really starting to be comical. I'm really starting to enjoy the movie. All I have to say is I hope everybody has more popcorn ready, because this is the part where it starts getting good. And, Brad Garlinghouse said it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Garlinghouse said it. Jeff, your video is freezing a little tonight for some reason. You got a big smile, but you were talking, but I don't know what's going on, Jeff. Something weird's happening to you. Something weird going on over there. I don't know what it is.
I'm having some connectivity issues.
Yeah, it might be some connectivity issues. Yeah, well,
The power went out down here earlier today.
Oh yeah, we had tsunamis rolling in. Man, it was crazy up here.
I could hear it, but I was indoors with no windows, and then all of a sudden the power goes out and it's pitch black.
Oh man, that's like the worst thing ever. Look at this for the Jeremy Hogan. This it's good to see. I like when Jeremy Hogan gets like excited. So he put this out. He's like, finally, I feel like Ripple has taken the gloves off and is talking about how ridiculous the SEC's litigation tactics surrounding the him and emails are. The judge may still allow the SIR reply, which it has, but at least Ripple's calling out the delay strongly. And I love it right here. It says, since defendants filed this motion to compel nearly 9 months ago, ECF number 289, the court has twice overruled the SEC's improper deliberative process privilege objections. Notwithstanding that, and the close of the fact that the expert discovery, the SEC continues to withhold how many documents? All documents related to a former
Every last one of them.
SEC's officials' June 14, 2018 speech. The SEC now claims, in effect, that the last year of briefing, oral arguments, the court's decisions, and their motion for reconsideration were all an academic exercise, because it turns out that the documents and every single one of them were actually privileged attorney-client communications. And you know what, Jeff? There's another giant case, too, where this exact same tactic is being claimed, and I think that's going to have the same result ultimately. We're not going to get into that one, but there's a big case starting here in May. And that's what they're saying. Well, it's all protected under its client attorney privilege.
Then
not necessarily.
It's out of control is what we're seeing at this point. And you can only hide so long. At some point when you're the one who files the case, you can't keep running away. You gotta get some resolution. It's amazing to me.
Wait a minute.
Yeah, really, really amazing to me.
So Liz is saying that the Hinman emails released via the Freedom of Information Act a few minutes ago were very redacted.
That means they probably left the is and they left all that stuff in.
Liz, if you could drop that in the DM chat, that'd be great. Appreciate that. We'll take a look at that while we're doing this.
You've heard it here first.
And look at this. SP says, smash the likes, peeps. Couldn't agree with that even more. And then there's Susan Chippy. 68 emails were attorney-client privilege. BS. Listen, man, the harder they fight. Look, they brought the lawsuit, and now they're like, well, we need more time. We're not going to give you that. You asked for it how many times? 5, 6 times? We're the SEC. Well, they're about to find out. And I put out a tweet, just kind of like just one of these off the cuff where I threw the tweet out there. And I was like, I was a little bit angry. And man, did that get noticed, Jeff? We'll put that up in a little bit. But I'm wondering if we go ahead. What do you got?
Crazy. Oh, the video that I was going to pull up is all garbled up. I try to play it, and it's just all of a sudden it goes from regular video to completely blocked video.
Which one is it? Because maybe it's just your connectivity.
Maybe it was the Elon Musk one.
Oh, it's the first one then in the keep.
Yeah, but it's interesting to get a varied perspective on what's going on with the SEC. And this is coming from, Elon Musk, who's been up against it, with the SEC, and it's just kind of crazy, stuff that's been going on, overall. But it's kind of crazy with the YouTube. There's been so much, fraud videos that have been popping up that you could tell that people are playing as though they're live streams from Elon Musk or from ARK Invest or from others. And then you find out that, they have Bitcoin addresses and edited, and yet you'll see like 14,000 people, watching this stuff live. Crazy. I'm shocked.
All right, I can play this, but it's kind of weird. I can't play it full screen because, it was a
short.
Yeah, here we go. Let's try it. Oh yikes! Why is it so low?
Super low.
Gosh, it's not
Try
at all.
it.
It's just
See if
can't.
there's some volume.
There's no way to adjust it. It's on or off. Let's see. Is there any way to do that? No. I guess.
Nope.
Man.
Well, there you go.
There it
That's
is.
the end of that.
And there's the end of that. Sometimes
And
things
there you
go.
go. There you
And
have it.
there it is. Sometimes things go off the rails. You don't even know how they go off the rails. But anyway, I thought we could probably just pull this up here. This is the fearless leader, the other co-founder of the Ripple company. That is the centralized company, not to be confused with the decentralized asset XRP. But this is Chris Larsen. CNBC said the California governor issues an executive order on crypto as state embraces digital currencies. And Chris Larsen chimed in, proud of my home state and the California governor for taking an important step today to ensure the U.S. remains a place where blockchain and crypto can continue to thrive. It goes on to say, with programs to enhance education, promote financial inclusion and sustainability, and most importantly, provide regulatory clarity through a consistent framework, California will be a global hub for crypto talent and innovation. Jeff, thoughts on that?
Man, I like this idea. Well, are we talking about California? Wait a minute. What's going on with
well, that's the
California,
whole thing.
this global hub for crypto talent and innovation? I think we've kind of moved beyond California at this point.
Isn't that
I know they're trying. They're trying. They want to bring people back, but I think we're at the end of California's reign of terror.
Yeah, but so that's great. Education, financial inclusion, sustainability. Here's the other. Here's the one thing I considered. California, great for the state. Same thing we've seen in other states have passed in Texas, Wyoming. However, we still have the SEC that governs over all of the states. So I don't know what kind of consistent regulatory framework, but if it doesn't go up the ladder to the national level, Jeff, I'm not so sure it's really all that exciting. But there's Newsom right there. And I want to just get some of the finer points in here. And it says it aligns with the Biden administration proposal in March. I don't know if that's an indicator or not. Directive spells out a roadmap on regulatory and consumer protections. The SEC, Jeff, they protect you and I, consumers and investors.
Oh, here it is.
It says, now this is an interesting quote. He says, of the 800 blockchain businesses in North America, about a quarter of them are in California. It's pretty staggering. Dramatically more than any other state. Dee Dee Myers, senior advisor to Newsom. Wait, Dee Dee Myers, wasn't she the ex-press secretary, Jeff? For Clinton, or what was she? It sounds so familiar. And director of the Governor's Office of Business and Economic Development told CNBC, we've heard from so many that they want to be here and they want to help, and we wanted them to do that responsibly. Newsom's directing the state business and economic development office to work in collaboration with California's business, consumer, blah, 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 designed to create a transparent and consistent business environment. Agencies submit its findings and then recommend next steps. And this is where it's kind of lockstep with what the Biden executive order was. Submit your findings and recommend next steps by this date. But again, it's positive, but I think this has a lot to do with what's happening in Texas and Florida, especially in Miami, Jeff. I think it's like these governors are trying to always one up each other. Here's the downside. You know what? Florida doesn't have a state tax. You know who has a state tax? California. It's 11% in some parts of that state, on top of the federal tax. On top of the state income tax is pretty heavy. But again, it's a very positive development, and it's great to see more of this rolling out in the U.S. And again, it's way overdue. California seems to be trying to walk a tightrope between moving the state forward and embracing new technology. The other thing Newsom wants to do is he wants to roll out blockchain for different divisions inside of I'm trying to find out where that little bit of it is. I know I went to comb this article, but he wants to roll it out and potentially use blockchain within the state for not only payments, but he believes it's more efficient. And I think that's a positive development. It's good to see that. And hopefully we'll see more governors step up.
I think at the end of the day, what they're doing in California, I think is a net, at least it's they're doing something. We can call it a net positive. You know, that there's some movement in the crypto space where we have other states that, like New York, that you've got you've got a governor there that's pretty much deaf to crypto, and making it actually more miserable, for anybody invested in or trying to build on cryptocurrency over there. And so California, where you would think they would actually be going the opposite way, you can say, hey, maybe this is moving in some direction. And you're right, man. Income tax, the state income tax in California ranges from 1% up to 12.3%. So if you're earning 60,000 to 312,000, your state income tax is 9.3%.
Wow, dude.
9.3%. At 312,000 goes up to 10%. And then anything over 625,000 is 12.3%. But then if you're in that typical, kind of bracket here, 48 to 61,000, you're at an 8% tax bracket.
Wow.
Interesting.
So that is something. So, people are talking. I mean, let's read this next story, Jeff, and tell me how, if Ripple gives a flying F. Look at this right here. Blockchain outfit Ripple takes 130,000 square feet near the Embarcadero. Size, status of Ripple's current space and financial district is undisclosed. There's Garling House. That's the building in the background. Blockchain specialist Ripple will pull up stakes from San Francisco's financial district, head towards the Embarcadero. Actually, I like that.
Embarcadero?
The Embarcadero is like down by, that big tower there on the water, but down by the piers over there. If you take.
Yep. Yeah, I've been down there.
Yeah. So it's right over there. It's actually it's closer to Embarcadero, which is all around where the water is there. And we'll take a look at that. But they're going from 315 Montgomery. And I spent a lot of time up there in my previous role in business. Used to spend a lot of time in a lot of companies on Montgomery Street there. I know exactly where Ripple's office is now. And I have to say, this is definitely a really big upgrade. Like they're in an older style, that part of town over there by Market in Montgomery. It's all sort of these old kind of classic buildings. You go inside and they look beautiful. But on the outside, they're kind of old. Where this one, I think, is more suitable for what Ripple is.
What's great about it. We're starting to see an expansion. At a time where the SEC is ramping up the rhetoric, where you would expect a company would be going in the reverse out of, in the US space, in terms of physical office space, and they're going the exact opposite direction. So everything that the SEC is doing doesn't seem to be having much of an impact. And actually that interview, Chip, with Gasparino the other day really highlighted the positivity that Brad Garlinghouse was feeling, currently in terms of the case. And he asked him, how do you feel? He said he's overall positive, and he thinks that the case is going in the right direction and has gone in the right direction, regardless of what he was saying, and he brought up the fact that the SEC is saying, hey, we need to get this done fast. And then look what happens. So fast to them is delay tactic. It's delayed as long.
Hurry up and wait. So he says, Garlinghouse says, yep, we signed the lease. We'll establish new location. And it's unclear how much space the company leased at 315, but they know how much space they have coming up. And so I pulled it up here over on Google Maps over here. So if you look right here, there's the ferry building. That's the tower. And this is right over here. They're on the corner of Pacific and Battery. And there's the Embarcadero, which runs up and down the water here. And they used to be over in the financial district.
If you zoom into that port over there, you'll see the Ripple yacht.
The Ripple yacht. They go right over there. Because Garlinghouse was taking too much time to get to the yacht. So he probably has to, now it's only 2 blocks away, which is nice.
And if you zoom in, you'll see the name of Ripple's yacht is XRP, baby.
XRP, baby. So let's take a look at this puppy here. Let's see if we can get in here and look around. Yep. So I'm just going to go over here. What's going on over? So there's the office. There it is right there. Very modern looking 2-story building.
Look in the window and see Brad hanging out.
There it is right there. And there's some shacky thing looking over here. I don't know what this is. Could be a shelter. Could be a hot dog stand during the day. Looks kind of interesting and fun. But yeah, if you look at this thing, it's beautiful. You know, it's more suiting to a company that's a blockchain company than where they were.
Yeah, it's a little blocky for someone else.
Yeah,
it's a blockchain. Man. Look at it; it's taking up a whole city block.
And I don't know if you see the.
Man, look at that! It takes up a whole square city block.
Right.
It's pretty good. And the way the homeless crisis is over in the San Francisco area, they probably got it for a steal.
It could be, but it's a lot of office space, Jeff. It really is.
It's incredible.
It takes up the entire block right there. Let's see what you can see in the window there. Yeah, there he is right there having a sandwich.
It looks like a big open warehouse. Maybe, I don't know, maybe they're going to have some soccer in there or something.
Let's see
Indoor soccer.
Let's see if we
ping pong tables.
Yeah, maybe. Let's see if we can find the other one. What was it 315 Montgomery?
Yep. Let's look at that one.
Let's see if I can spell Montgomery, Jeff. It's like a lot of work here. Let's see if I can find
1 inch 36 is wondering about thoughts on government bonds. And actually, if you listen to Warren Buffett, he said if you're invested in bonds, this isn't the right time.
Not the right time. Also not the right time for Bitcoin if you listen to Charlie Munger. It's not the right time, Jeff. All right, so let's look at the
right time. You know when the right time was? About 80 years ago when they first started investing.
Yeah.
That was definitely the right time.
Over here. Yeah, this is the
yeah, that's live. Look at that. That's crazy.
That's their current digs right here. Is this it? No, that's not it, is it?
Pull it up on an upland.
Yeah, it
we'll
is.
Get a better view of it.
Yeah, this is it, but there's something obscuring. I don't know why, but there's something obscuring. Like there's some big, but yeah, Bank of America is below it. But it's like here, hang on a second. Let's just move it over here a little bit. There we go. Yeah, there you go. That's like their current. You know what I mean? It looks like an old San Francisco building.
But of those floors, how many do they have?
I don't know how many they have, Jeff. But I know it's an
banking space. Are they downstairs? Are they upstairs?
Look,
top floor.
Look, there's Reinhard Kate. He's doing the ripple drop right there. You see him, Jeff? But there it is. I mean, that's like that's their regular building right there. It's just, you know,
it's kind of boring. It's up there in the fog.
Oh man, look at this. This is like hip, cool. Plus it's like right by the Embarcadero over there. It's not too far away. It's beautiful, man.
Yeah, there you go. We got a lot of parking. Got a nice grassy field.
Yeah, right.
Got some oil stains on the street.
It's a beautiful thing, Jeff. It's pretty exciting. So on a scale of yes or no, how worried do you think they are? If they're just not, if they're not even leaving San Francisco, we're like, okay, SEC, we'll see your delays and we'll raise you a giant office space that's 10 times bigger than where we are now. Okay.
That's it. It's solid. That if that's going to put it back in their face, I don't know what will.
Yeah, I don't think they're there. And people,
I believe Gary is shaking in his living room or wherever he streams out of.
I don't even know. Have we seen him streaming lately? I mean, I don't even know if he has been streaming lately.
I don't think he's even had a live meeting. I think he's just locked up and doesn't want to meet with anybody.
Yeah,
he's terrified.
So I saw this tweeted out earlier, Jeff. So look at this. This is Max Geyser, you know, a really well-known BTC maxi, but he's landing some pretty good punches here. And Gary doesn't seem too happy. You can look at his face right there. He doesn't seem all that excited, happy. But Max Geyser's going off on him, and I think he lands some punches here. Let's see what you think on this one.
Gensler purposefully launch a known toxic product, garbage product into the market and not allow for an ETF, spot price ETF that's already established itself on.
Like that is very worrisome. Why? What is the aversion to this spot price? I don't understand it. It makes zero sense to me.
No sense whatsoever. Why does he have his microphone coming from up
They all
top?
do, Jeff. If you I don't know why they all do that, but they have it coming in from another planet, like below or off the top of their computer. I don't know why. But again, he's using the same exact mic we are, but a weird arm.
Yeah.
And you see how stressed that cable is right there. Plus, we use extenders. He has He has 2 extenders on that.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't really know.
Markets around the world, and his arguments against price discovery are fallacious and misguided. Why would he do that?
Fallacious.
Why is Gary Gensler? it's a shame that Gary Gensler is such an obvious.
Every time he says Gary Gensler, Jeff, we have to take a shot.
They take a shot. Gary Gensler or
Gary
fallacious?
Gensler, Jeff. Gary Gensler, fallacious or Gary Gensler?
Fallacious.
No, the fallacious.
Gary Gensler.
That
Gary
almost
Gensler
doesn't
is
belong in the
fallacious.
same sentence, does it?
Gary Fallacious Gensler.
Gensler. Daddy G.
Daddy G, better known as Daddy G.
He is a regulator who's in the pocket of Wall Street, who
Oh.
considers Bitcoin to be a
Oh.
threat. There's absolutely no question about that.
I don't know. I don't really often agree
Yeah,
with
go
Max
back on
Geyser,
your
but
feelings a little bit.
I don't usually agree with him. But I'm like, he's landing some pretty solid punches with Gary Gensler, the fallacious
That was a good one.
regulator.
See, the Gary
Oh, yeah.
Gensler is
Oh,
corrupt.
just like Gary Gensler. Shot, Jeff.
Gary
Take a
Gensler is
shot.
corrupt.
I mean, I would if I said he just talked to
download
Jon
bottle.
Stewart in an interview on Jon.
Yeah, and look what happened after he talked to Jon Stewart, Jeff. Jon Stewart's show just tanked after that. He had
What,
some
does
really
Jon Stewart
promising.
have a show?
Well,
He
he
doesn't
had
have
a
a show
new.
anymore, does it?
Well, he had a new show called The Problem. Problem was he had Gary Fallacious Gensler on, Daddy G.
Problem
and
was the show sucked. I think it was
it might have been that. Something weird about Jon Stewart. Jon Stewart, I still say to this day, probably one of the funniest comedians, one of my favorite comedians when he was young, sporting the long hair, crazy, just really fun. And as he started aging, started getting a little bit less funny, like too serious. But the same happened with Robin Williams. Robin Williams, nuts.
Oh, yeah.
And when Robin's like, oh, I'm getting off the drugs, I'm like, maybe that's not a good idea. Maybe it's like,
Hey,
maybe
that's
you're
what made you funny.
maybe that's what made you funny. I don't know. I mean, I can't, who am I to judge? But it's so weird that these guys, they get all grumpy pants in their old age.
Man.
Stewart's, ill-fated Apple
Brandon.
TV
Faded Apple TV show.
show, and Jon Stewart took Gary Gensler apart, shred by shred, and proved and showed to him in no uncertain terms that he was one of the worst and most corrupt public officials in America. And it was
Man.
shocking. And Gary Gensler had nothing
Brutal.
to say to defend himself.
Now, Jeff,
He's
that's the one.
fallacious.
One of the famous quotes that came out of there when Gary Gensler said, sometimes you got to go into court, and I don't know why he always makes this weird hand gesture.
Sometimes
gotta go into court.
and lose.
And take a loss. You got to
You
lose.
take
You
a
got to
loss.
lose once in a while.
Sometimes you gotta lose.
Right.
Sometimes you lose in case you're going to win.
Sometimes you
you
have to
gotta
do
lose.
that. I don't know why he does that.
Because he's disgusting.
Oh, geez, Jeff.
That's why.
He's
That's why, Chip.
just
That's it,
crushing it. He's disgusting. Please mention Gary Gensler at least 2 more times. Can we? Can we have 2 more shots?
But it doesn't matter. I mean, it would be great to give Americans a chance to participate in Bitcoin, but if Gary Gensler wants Americans to be poor, uneducated, living in the gutter, and being killed by the ravages of inflation, that's up to Gary Gensler. He's got blood on his hands. Gary, you schmuck, you should just resign and give the world the benefit of not having you have a public office. You're a gross, disgusting human.
You gotta watch. No, if you're listening to the podcast, this is on Stansberry. Stansberry does all these financial ones. So they have Max Geyser on, and her face is just like, oh God, did he just say that? How do I recover from that? Look at the look on her face, Jeff. He's a disgusting human being. This is a great. Look, first she's laughing, right? She doesn't know what to make of him. She's like, oh gosh, I'm back on camera.
You should just resign and give the world the benefit of not having you have a public office. You're a gross, disgusting human.
She's like,
and so
you make this face, Jeff, like you do this one. It's like, yeah, he's a gross, disgusting human. Jeff, I don't know. I mean, it's Max Geyser. I don't usually agree with him, but I can't really say that I disagree with anything he said there.
Mr. Wolf. Poor Daniela trying to sell gold to old rich boomers and gets Max on.
Yeah, right. Exactly. That's so funny with that Stansberry.
That guy's awesome, man. Look at Fernando. I used to hate Max Geyser. People are going to love him now. They're going to look
Jeff,
for everything he does.
Put that back up. Look at that avatar. That's fantastic. It's a kid with a pot on his head or something like that. I don't know what that is. A razor blade in the background.
Isn't that an old school?
So
cartoon?
old school looking. It might be maybe it's a new NFT series. Nobody knows, Jeff, these days. It's kind of hard to tell.
No clue, but that's really cool.
Well, something else that came out too, and again, this NFT craze is starting to heat up. But Coinbase got into it, and look at this: Coinbase NFTs. Connect your wallet, and you can just start trading, and it's a whole. So basically, they opened up their beta NFT on Coinbase.
I like it.
It's pretty interesting. That's a cool video.
Curate. Dude, I like it. I like the video. The video's
It's cool. The
exciting.
video is fun, man.
Man. Good graphics. Not digging these NFTs so much, but yeah.
Collect them. And
Video
again,
kicks ass.
now why is this important?
Mint,
Because
you can mint an NFT over on Coinbase. Look at that.
yeah. So why is it
bid.
important, Jeff? Because it's because of how large it is and an attraction of it. People are like, I don't like Coinbase. Well, that's cool, but guess what? A lot of people do like it,
That's it. Oh, it's
And-
pretty cool.
right? I thought so. I thought it was pretty interesting. It was a cool little video, like the one for the Super Bowl that was bouncing around the screen. The little you had to snap it with your phone.
Menino Malquinho, Brazilian cartoon.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, some of those cartoons are really fun, man.
There you go.
There's one from
Sweet.
Chile that my wife. It's a really cool little character too. It's old
Yeah, I
school,
like it.
but it's fun. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of creativity back in the day. And then there's one more, Jeff. You mentioned this. I think we probably should go into it. Should we play a little bit of the Garlinghouse video, or do you want to go into something else?
No, let's do that. Let's play that Garlinghouse video. Kind of puts a little bit of a dig into the SEC a little further, especially after that Max Kaiser. It's fun to watch,
Charlie.
Brad Garlinghouse,
especially at the end.
you
Oh,
heard
yeah.
it. The Oracle doesn't like you guys.
So the Oracle, Jeff, tell everybody who the Oracle is out of Omaha. That is none other than not Charlie Munger, Warren Buffett. He's the Oracle.
Warren Buffett.
So prior to this, they were talking about the fact that he doesn't like Bitcoin, doesn't like crypto, thinks it's
Not
a
like
scam.
Oh wait, I deleted that video where we should have staged that one first. Then you get the Oracle of Omaha, but that's okay.
Oh, there we go.
The Oracle of
All right.
Omaha has spoken. You know, look, I think I remember when I first heard about TikTok, and I just didn't get it. And I do think there are some things about technology shifts and generational shifts that are, you know, it is hard to track sometimes. You and I both, I'm sure, remember Jamie Dimon just a few years ago talked about how Bitcoin's a fraud.
So if we're watching this right now, Jeff, this is interesting. If you're listening to the podcast, for the first time ever, they didn't put a Litecoin price up there. They actually put XRP up there. They're getting remarkably better. This is crazy, Jeff. Garlinghouse is
We're
talking.
talking about XRP, and we're gonna put up Litecoin.
They throw a big green up on the screen because it was going up today. That was actually from yesterday, I believe, or maybe it was Monday. So that's interesting. And look at this right here. We got this. Thank you for Sam Ross. It says, why do people pay for JPEGs? You'll own nothing and you'll be happy. And it equals NFTs and Meta. That may be a true statement. I don't know. I mean, it's like, I don't know if you're paying for it on the blockchain, but just remember this, guys. Pretty soon you'll be able to buy OTC NFT, which, well, I mean, it's going to be on the chain channel. But Jeff and I are rolling out a project we're pretty excited about.
Yeah, but it's in the works. That's awesome.
It's in the works. We can't wait to show it to you. So yeah, you guys can buy your own JPEGs. It'd be awesome. So let's listen back in here.
You know, has his opinion changed in a way that understanding that whether it's Bitcoin or these other technologies, there's a lot of good to be done in the world.
It's not evil.
It's certainly not evil, and there's a lot of examples where you can use these technologies to
Charlie
make
Munger says it
systems that
was.
we all depend upon more open, more efficient, and you know, look, I think bettering society. So,
Right.
I'm not going to take the time to try to convince Charlie Munger or Warren Buffett that they're wrong.
How old are they?
I'm not 100% sure, but I've been told they're 91 and 98.
Okay, so we're not going to go there. All right.
There it is.
In any
There it
event, you are the CEO of Ripple, the cross-border
top
payment.
three.
It's competing with the SWIFT system, correct?
Correct.
XRP is one of your. I guess is it? Can I say it's one of your currencies? How do I do this?
We talk about it as it's native to our technology
Okay.
stack,
And it's under assault by the SEC.
for sure.
The
like
whole
that,
industry,
under
in my
Right.
judgment, is under assault.
But
by
I
it.
think if your case, the SEC is saying that it's a security, it's illegal
There you go.
essentially, pay us billions of dollars, and you chose to fight it. Your case will set the stage, set the agenda for the SEC's foray into crypto regulation and how far Gary Gensler, the chairman of the SEC, is going to go. Where's the case right now?
Before he answers that, Chip, I think he set that up nice. I mean, he teed that up and pointing to the primary fact that this Ripple case, this SEC that has now assaulted Ripple, this is the case. This is the case of the century. This is what's going to
Absolutely.
judge all crypto moving forward, Chip.
Absolutely, man. Gotta love it. Fantastic.
Look, from my point of view, the case has gone quite well. A lot of it has been, skirmishes around discovery and these kind of things. But it's clear that the judge understands that this is an important case. It's going to be, set precedent. It now, we're getting close to summary judgment filings. Everything will be before the judge now by the end of November. What that means in terms of how long the judge will take to review the case.
So it could be this year.
That's an optimistic view, but it's not impossible.
What do you think of Mr. Gensler's approach here?
What do you think of that, Chip, before we move into his approach? Optimistic on ending before the end of this year, but it looks like there's going to be some movement, as we've all been discussing, in November.
I like the optimism. I'm not sold 100%, but I just don't. It really comes down to the judge, because it will move from December to November. If it takes 3 months, it's going to end much sooner than most people think. But I'm optimistic as well. But I also think that if it takes 3 months, there's a lot on Ripple's side. Jeff, we're going to go back to our original shows, and we broke this down and say, yeah, we nailed it, because it's a ridiculous lawsuit. I think we can all agree that it's ridiculous. It doesn't allege fraud. They use a lot of big language, but guess what? So what? 80 pages of garbage. And who's delayed the case at every juncture, Jeff?
Gary.
Gary's been crushing it with the delays nonstop. And our Garling House has a good quote about that coming up, that he brings up a lot, and he highlights the actual stupidity of Gary Gensler, which I like.
He's a friend, I'm assuming, right?
No, I actually have never met him.
He's a friend, right? I don't know. Yeah. He's never been out of his basement. I've never seen him before, Jeff.
He certainly, I guess the simplest way I'd characterize this, I think when you're a hammer, everything looks like a nail. When you're Gary Gensler at the SEC, everything looks like a security.
Boom. This is the greatest. That's a 1-2 punch. If you're a hammer, everything looks like a nail. You're going to hammer it, right? Because Gensler's the hammer.
And if
you're
Gary,
a chair of the SEC, if you're a Gary, a Daddy G, then everything looks like a security. Which one's Gary? Oh, we can't tell you right now. I'm not going to comment any given one. Just one. Just give us one name.
Gary's not the nail.
No.
Which doesn't really make sense. And look, he said a lot of things that I just think are talking points that don't really make sense. He says justice delayed is justice denied. Yet they brought this lawsuit against Ripple, and every possible juncture they have sought to delay the case. And our view is like, look, we're trying to move as quickly as we can. We will continue to move as quickly as we can, because we think it's very clear.
What do you think he's going to do?
Are on our side.
What's he going to do with regulation?
Well, I think he clearly wants, in the context that there is uncertainty in the United States federal government about who regulates crypto.
He wants it.
He wants it. He wants it. And I think it's empire building.
Now, will the Republicans let him take it?
I think there's a piece of legislation reintroduced just last Thursday, bipartisan support, called the Digital Commodity Exchange Act, and it has broad support. I was on Capitol Hill 2 or 3 weeks ago, spoke with a bunch of elected representatives on both sides of the aisle.
So this is interesting too. So a bunch of stuff drops in this thing when he talks about actually going to Washington, talking to people, and he says both sides of the aisle, it's Democrats and Republicans. And they're like empty vessels. He talks and explains it to them, and they're like, and then 4 seconds later, they got to rush to a microphone to assassinate one of their political opponents. This is how they do it. Meanwhile, when the important information is being provided by people like Garling House and other key figures, I don't know. We've heard about this a lot, and I don't think any of it sinks in. I don't know if they have the capacity to learn, Jeff, or what.
I'm afraid they don't. For the most, there's many of them that can't, and there's a handful, as we know, that are bipartisan, that are looking at this from a perspective that crypto's here to stay, and we need to embrace it. But there's too many of them still that are sitting there, that have been there from the beginning of time, that simply need to be removed out of Congress. And it's at that point after November that we're going to see massive traction. in this
Yeah, and I wanted to
space.
share this one last
broad-
thing before we get out of here. This one right here. This is Tom Emmer, who we've had on the chain. He said, I wonder how many taxpayer dollars are being wasted in Gary Gensler's personal crusade against the crypto industry. And this is where I said I kind of tweeted something out. And then I put, Gensler will go down in history as the worst SEC chair of all time. And he earned it. And check it out, Jeff. As we're speaking, people are retweeting this puppy. It's up to 729 likes, 135 retweets, 43 comments. And the comments are, if you want to know what people are feeling, man. Adelia Velez says Congress needs to step in. Eric Cobalt says true, and he might be the last one of the biggest ass of all time. So this is great stuff. Mike Moraz says, and the first one to do time. Well, that remains to be seen there, Mike, but we'll see.
We could be helpful.
Problem is, he couldn't care less as long as he achieves the goals they had for him. Hint: protecting investors, none of them. So anyway, Jeff,
the whole lot of them, they got to go.
The whole lot of them.
Chaos.
So anyway, that's all the time we have tonight, guys. We'll be back on Saturday morning to do another whiz bang on the chain show. We thank you because you're the smartest of the best, smartest in the whole community, and we love you. Anything you want to say on the way out, Jeff?
I think you said it all. We'll check you guys out on Saturday morning, 8 a.m. punctual. Be prompt.
Because Jeff and I might not be. Jeff will be doing solos. I'm not sure. But anyway, that's all we have for you guys tonight.
Probably.
Chip and Jeff out. We'll see you on the next one. Out.
Are you down with OTC? Please like, subscribe, and click the bell to be notified when the next video drops.